You don't just run a hair salon, you give the best cut and color in town.
You said it.
But what if no one saw your perfectly painted highlights because they couldn't book appointments online?
Wait, what?
With help from Cox Business Internet and Voice Solutions, you can do more than accomplish everyday tasks. You can connect your craft to your customers, so they can look as good as the future of your business. Get 50 megs of internet and IP-centric select for only $89 per month for 6 months. No term agreement required. Ends 8/31/21. Restrictions apply. Visit coxbusiness.com for details. All services subject to Cox Business general terms.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy is suspected of having killed as many as 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series that investigates the crimes that shocked the nation.
The thing everybody thought they knew wasn't the whole story.
John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now.
Devil in Disguise.
Only on Peacock.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. What's up, everybody, and happy Monday. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Guess who didn't have a fantastic weekend? Old Billy Boy Gates. That's right, Mr. Top of the World, Mr. Elite himself, is experiencing quite the fall from grace. Now, when we last talked about Bill Gates, we were talking about how him and his wife were getting divorced, and how his wife said that the Jeffrey Epstein relationship played a part in that. Well, today we're going to go to the Wall Street Journal, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper, and we're going to see what the Wall Street Journal has to say about Bill and Melinda Gates getting divorced, and what role Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates' relationship might have played in this all coming to fruition. So let's jump into this article and let's see what they have to say. Wall Street Journal. Authored by Emily Glazer and Khadija Safdar. Headline: Melinda Gates was meeting with divorce lawyers since 2019 to end marriage with Bill Gates. The philanthropist had discussions with lawyers in October 2019, around when the Microsoft co-founder's ties to Jeffrey Epstein became public. Well, I guess it's just a coincidence, right? That's what people will say, folks. And people who have not been following this case, I understand why they would say that, right? Oh, it's just a coincidence. Unless you've been following this case very closely, then you could write all of this stuff off as coincidence. But when you're following this case closely, like all of us are, everyone listening to this podcast for sure, then you know that this stuff didn't just happen in a vacuum. All of this stuff is connected. The Jeffrey Epstein case, the Jeffrey Epstein orbit, the Jeffrey Epstein atmosphere, all of these are connected. All of these people. All of them. Either with strong ties or loose ties, but nonetheless, all of this stuff is woven into the pattern of the Jeffrey Epstein situation. And Bill Gates, this guy's really asking for it at this point. I mean, he was really adamant about not having a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, wasn't he? He was really, really going hard in the paint, telling people, we met a couple of times, no big deal. Now it comes out that one of the reasons your wife is divorcing you is because of your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? Sure doesn't sound like you were being truthful, Billy Boy Gates. The split between Bill and Melinda Gates, announced last week, has been in the works for a long time, and I bet you it goes back even further than that. What do they have, 3 children? 2 daughters and a son, right? And his daughters are 25, 26, something like that. So it boggles my mind that these dudes who have kids of their own, little girls of their own, would be palling around with somebody like Jeffrey Epstein. Look, I don't have any kids, folks, right? No children, 0. But that doesn't mean I would be able to overlook what someone like Jeffrey Epstein's up to and go and pal around with him. And let's not act like Bill Gates is hurting for friends. The guy's a bajillionaire. He can do whatever he wants, go wherever he wants, have an entourage, all of it. He chose to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, my question is the same as it's been with everybody else. How many child molesters, sex offenders do you folks know out there? I don't know any. I don't hang out with any. How is it that all of these people find each other? How is it that all of these people with the same proclivities and the same desires end up in the same room together? Oh, I know, it's just a coincidence, right? Miss Gates consulted with divorce lawyers roughly 2 years before she filed for divorce from Mr. Gates, saying their marriage was irretrievably broken, according to people familiar with the matter and documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. Now, I am sure that there was more to it than just the Jeffrey Epstein situation, right? We would be naive to think it was all about that. Now, I'm sure that played a huge role in it, especially if Melinda Gates is somebody with even just a little bit of empathy for people. I don't know how you could look at what Jeffrey Epstein was up to, at all of the misery he left in his wake, and be like, yeah, that's cool, he made a mistake. He's going to fix himself. He's getting better. He's getting treatment. I think that says a lot about the person who is going to great lengths to try and refurbish someone like Jeffrey Epstein's reputation. So, from where I'm sitting, folks, in the peanut gallery, Bill Gates' problems are just beginning. The 56-year-old philanthropist has been working with lawyers at several firms since at least 2009 to unwind the marriage of more than 25 years, according to these people and the documents. Wow. So, Melinda Gates obviously has not been happy for some time, and I won't even begin to try and speculate about what goes on in their marriage or their bedroom or anything like that. I have no idea. These people are so foreign to me, these so-called elite, that they might as well be from Mars. I mean, are you kidding me right now? We can't relate to these people. And then you add on all of the other factors, the creepy factors that these sick billionaires bring with them. Bill Gates having a weekend a year or whatever with his ex-girlfriend, and all of these weird conditions and circumstances. And look, I don't know what goes on in other people's relationships, right? But if you have an Italian girlfriend and an Italian wife, go ahead and ask her if you can have a weekend with your ex-girlfriend. And then I'll show up at the hospital and I'll bring you some food because you're going to need some comfort because your Italian girlfriend or wife would beat the living shit out of you, and it would probably involve a wooden spoon. So I don't know how guys get away with this kind of nonsense. Oh yeah, babe, I'm going to get a weekend with my ex-girlfriend once a year. That's cool, right? What? So look, I'm not knocking other people's relationships. If that's the pact that you made with your significant other, hey, it ain't for me to judge. I just know for me personally, that is no way to live your life. Furthermore, who can deal with more than one woman? As far as all of the stuff that goes along with it. The honey-do list, the this, the that, the extra dog that shows up at your house when you're not home. Oh, babe, we got a new dog. Oh, babe, my uncle's moving in. Oh, babe. You could keep having multiple girls and cheating on your chick and having a gumad and all of that nonsense. Save that shit for somebody else. Last Monday, the billionaire couple announced they were ending their marriage. In a joint statement posted on Twitter, they said, "We no longer believe we can grow together as a couple in this next phase of our lives." A joint statement on Twitter. What sort of weird-ass world do we live in, folks, when people think they need to go to Twitter to let everybody else know that they're getting divorced? I mean, wow. I would never want my life on display like that. Ever, ever, ever. I hate using Twitter as it is, and I'm just some knucklehead hanging out in his home studio. Never mind being like Bill Gates or something. Forget all of that. If I was a billionaire, I'd be like a recluse. I'd be like Howard Hughes or some shit. Or like Bruce Wayne later on in life, where you seclude yourself in your mansion and you're working on all kinds of like science projects and shit. I'd dress up in like costume, right? And I'd hide so people didn't know who I was, and I'd go out to like my businesses and I'd go and check on my employees and shit. I'd have a great time if I was a billionaire, folks. I certainly wouldn't be hanging out with child molesters. That's for damn sure. It bothers me to no end that these people squander their lives away the way they do. Oh, they'll look at us and say, oh, what a pathetic life you live, 9 to 5, brr. But guess what? At the end of the day, with all your money and all of your power and all of the other shit, you're still alone, Bill Gates. The couple hasn't said what prompted the split. One source of concern for Miss Gates was her husband's dealings with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, according to People and a former employee of their charity, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Miss Gates' concerns about the relationship dated as far back as 2013, the former employee said. Look, I don't know what sort of man doesn't listen to his wife in a situation like this, honestly. I'm the kind of person where really nobody can tell me nothing. Except my girlfriend, except my soulmate, except the person I love the most on this planet. When she tells me something, I listen. Because you know what? I know she has my best interests at heart, and sometimes I can't see the forest through the trees. And that's why it's important to have an exceptional partner in life, right? An exceptional soulmate. And Melinda Gates tried to hit Bill Gates to what was going on. Look, this is 2013, folks. Long time ago. And she was telling Billy Boy Gates, look, this is not a good deal, bro. You have kids of your own, little daughters. What are you doing with this child molester? Now, I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but that would be cool if that's what she told him, right? But my point is, she was reading him the Riot Act all the way back in 2013, and it didn't change shit. And then, to add a little more to the top, look at all of the other relationships that Jeffrey Epstein had with people close to Bill Gates. The couple negotiated their divorce throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. The documents show they have 3 children who are all now 18 years or older, the divorce filing shows. The youngest is a senior in high school. So think about that. This MF has young-ass kids. You know, high school age kids in one instance. Older for the other 2. But when he was palling around with Jeffrey Epstein, these were just kids, right? Teenagers, etc., etc. How in the world do you go and pal around with Jeffrey effing Epstein and then go home and tuck your kids in? What sort of sick-ass sociopath are you? I mean, I just don't get it. All of these guys, the same old story, all of them with their kids involved, these guys that have children, someone like the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family using their children as an alibi. These people know no shame, and the depths of their depravity has no bounds. According to the documents reviewed by the Journal, Miss Gates and her advisors held a number of calls in October 2019 when the New York Times reported that Mr. Gates had met with Mr. Epstein on numerous occasions. Mr. Gates once stayed late into the night at Mr. Epstein's Manhattan townhouse, the Times reported. Oh yeah, but they weren't close. They really had nothing going on. I mean, I'm just going over for a late night nightcap, right? We're going to hang out. We're going to have an espresso. We're going to watch the Home Shopping Network. Maybe we'll buy an air fryer or something while we're at it. I mean, really? What were you 2 disgusting fools doing? And furthermore, you really think that we're going to believe that you guys were sitting around yapping it up about charities? Here's the real question. None of these legacy media outlets have even bothered to ask it. Were there any girls there that night, Bill Gates? Did you get a massage, Bill Gates? Did you keep your underpants on, Bill Gates? Bridget Arnold, a spokeswoman for Mr. Gates, said in 2019 that the software mogul and Mr. Epstein had met multiple times to discuss philanthropy. Bill Gates regrets ever meeting with Epstein and recognizes it was an error in judgment to do so, Miss Arnold said at the time. Mr. Epstein died in jail, allegedly, from suicide, in August 2019, awaiting trial on federal charges relating to sex trafficking. So, it was an error in judgment, huh? But he kept doing it over and over and over again? An error in judgment means you do something one time, you recognize it was an error, and you correct your mistake. Certainly doesn't seem to be the route that Billy Boy went. Miss Gates, a global advocate for women and girls, had told her husband she was uncomfortable with Mr. Epstein after the couple met him together in 2013. The former employee of the Gates Foundation said Mr. Gates and some other employees of the Gates Foundation continued a relationship with Mr. Epstein despite her concerns, this person said. Wow. So, again, who doesn't listen to their wife or their significant other? If her spidey sense is going off and she's a, advocate for women and girls, probably a good idea to, pipe up and listen to what she has to say when it comes to a sick bastard like Jeffrey Epstein, no? Probably should have taken your wife's advice, Bill. You would have saved yourself a lot of grief and a nice chunk of change. The Daily Beast earlier reported on the 2013 meeting and Miss Gates' concern with Mr. Epstein. When asked about his relationship with Mr. Epstein in a September 2019 interview with the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Gates said, "I met him. I didn't have any business relationship or friendship with him. No, not at all. They just met up, like I said. They were having some tea, some crumpets. They were watching QVC, and they were looking at different air fryers or convection ovens. That's obviously what these billionaires do when they're hanging out. Duh. I mean, come on." A spokeswoman for Mr. Gates, who is 65 years old, said Friday he stands by his 2019 statement to the Journal and declined to comment further. A spokeswoman for Miss Gates didn't respond to questions about her reasons for seeking divorce. No, because what they'll do is they'll leak it, right? They'll leak stuff out. The different camps, they'll start doing that into the media, and then they'll conduct their divorce through the media to try and gain, support one way or the other. Now, I highly doubt many people are going to side with Bill Gates in this whole entire ordeal. He's certainly coming out looking like a complete moron thus far. In early 2020, Mr. and Mrs. Gates surprised many people when they said they wouldn't attend the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, an annual gathering of business and world leaders that the power couple had attended for years. Oh, of course they have, right? When you're that powerful, you got to be in it to win it. You got to show up and show out. You got to floss and show all of these people who the alpha dog is. And at this meeting of the minds of the globalists, well, you know that Billy Boy Gates had to flex all the time, so I'm sure it was a shock when him and his wife didn't show up. A few months later, on March 13th, my birthday, Mr. Gates said he was resigning from the boards of Microsoft Corp and Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated. The Microsoft co-founder said he planned to focus more on his philanthropic efforts. We all know that that's BS, right? We all know that that's what they say when their tail is between their legs and they've taken a beating or something's coming down the pipe. And that's exactly what we see here once again. The second somebody that like this says, "Oh, well, I'm going to have to take a step back to focus on my family or my health." What? You're a gazillionaire, bro. You could have a doctor trailing you around 24/7, taking your vitals and feeding you whatever you need to be fed. Shut up, okay? Just shut up. Be honest. You're leaving your company because you made a fool of yourself, and now you're directly in the crosshairs in the Epstein investigation. Just be honest, Billy Boy Gates. By that time, the Gateses were already in discussions to divide their vast wealth according to the people familiar with the matter and the documents. Legal teams from both sides were privately in discussions with a mediator to work out a separation, the documents show. So this has been going on for quite some time, right? And now that it's coming to a head, we're going to see a lot more come out about Bill Gates. Who knows more about you than your significant other? And it's already becoming a leak fest into the media with this Jeffrey Epstein stuff. What, you think that it wasn't calculated by Melinda and her team to leak this? Of course it was. They're waging a war now. Now we're going to get to the point where it's like scorched earth, right? No prenup. So Melinda Gates can really go for the gusto. Been together for 25 years. So she's entitled, what, half at least? So Bill Gates is about to be in for quite the bumpy ride. And guess what, folks? I don't care one bit. Miss Gates' legal team by then already included New York divorce lawyer Robert Stephen Cohen, the documents show. Mr. Cohen has represented Michael Bloomberg, Henry Kravis, and Ivana Trump in their divorces. So obviously a bigwig divorce attorney, right? Somebody who's going to split everybody's shit with a katana blade like it's divorce court. That's exactly what's about to occur for Bill Gates. He's in for it. This dude's about to lose a lot of dough. Now granted, even if he loses half of his fortune, he still has an obscene amount of money. But like we always talk about, when it comes to these so-called elites, the only way to really ding them, besides throwing them in prison, is taking away their clout, taking away some of their dough. Mr. Gates also has some star lawyers, including Ronald Olson, a partner at the firm Munger, Tolles & Olson, LLP, who has represented Mark Zuckerberg, among others. Mr. Olson is a board member at Berkshire Hathaway, where he sat alongside Mr. Gates and Mr. Gates' close friend, Warren Buffett. So, of course he's going to harness his relationships and the people he knows to come to his defense here. Why wouldn't you hire a well-respected, well-renowned lawyer that you sat on a board with? Obviously, you guys are boys, you're friendly, and you know and think that this guy's going to have your best interests at heart. So we're gearing up for an epic battle over the Gates fortune, if that's the route they choose to go, and it certainly seems to be the case. The May 3rd divorce filing says the couple had agreed to a separation contract to divide their assets, a fortune estimated at $130 billion by Forbes. Their assets include a $131 million lakeside compound in Washington state called Xanadu 2.0, a rare Leonardo da Vinci notebook, and investments in Microsoft and the Four Seasons Hotel. I mean, imagine having the discretionary cash to buy a notebook from Da Vinci. I mean, yeah, that didn't cost a pretty penny or anything. That couldn't have paid for a bunch of these vaccines that Bill Gates loves so much in the poorest parts of the world. Nah, let me go get a Da Vinci notebook. It's all lip service from these people, folks. They don't give a damn about nobody but themselves, Bill Gates included. Last week, Mr. Gates' investment firm transferred nearly $2.4 billion worth of public company shares to Miss Gates, including stakes in car dealership owner AutoNation Incorporated, a Mexican broadcaster, and a Canadian railroad. So you know they got their situation on lock, right? They got their assets all ready to be wheeled and dealed and dealt. Because during a divorce like this, usually you'll see one side or the other get these stocks and then make a huge cash out. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Melinda Gates get a huge haul here. The Gateses have said they would give away most of their wealth and donated more than $36 billion to the Gates Foundation over the years. And that, my friends, right there shows you that he didn't need Jeffrey Epstein for donations. $36 billion of his own money was donated. What do you need Jeffrey Epstein's pennies for, Billy boy? The couple said they plan to remain co-chairs at the foundation and jointly lead it after their divorce. We continue to share a belief in that mission, They said in their Twitter statement, yeah, for now. This is going to get acrimonious. I have a funny feeling this is going to light up. When you add Jeffrey Epstein to the mix and your camp is saying, well, one of the reasons is he was hanging out with a pedophile, that can't be a good situation if you want a happy divorce here, right? You got to think that Bill Gates isn't going to be too pumped about that. Miss Gates signed her divorce petition in Bellevue, Washington, near the family home and the foundation's headquarters. According to the filing, Mr. Gates signed the papers from Palm Desert, California. So, look folks, there it is. There's a lot more here than meets the eye. And while I don't believe all of it has to do with Jeffrey Epstein, it's certainly starting to look like a good portion of the reason why this situation is unfolding is because Bill Gates was a lot closer to Jeffrey Epstein than he ever let anyone know. And now you have Melinda Gates' camp coming out and confirming what a lot of people suspected, and it's shaping up to be a rather rocky ride for Bill Gates. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. To everybody who has donated to the podcast in the past and recently, thank you folks very, very much. All right, everybody, I will be back later on if the news says we should be. If not, I will be back tomorrow morning. All right, everybody, I hope you all have a fantastic day.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy killed 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series, John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock.
In the new Discovery Plus original true crime series Relentless, documentary filmmaker Christina Fontana tries to help a Missouri family desperately searching for their missing daughter. Christina quickly goes down a rabbit hole of drugs, corruption, organized crime, and possibly murder, realizing she can't trust anyone, including the missing girl's own family. Start your free trial to follow Christina as she spends over a decade of her life searching for the truth. Relentless, now streaming on Discovery Plus, the streaming home of true crime and so much more for just $4.99.